What's up, guys? Welcome to the Chess Giant. This is Solomon Riddell, and I'm just going to keep it real with y'all. This is one of our less serious videos as we're not covering a top-tier opening with the Guatemala Defense. However, I would say that the Guatemala Defense is surprisingly playable and is one of the most interesting and honestly weird chess openings I've ever seen. I myself never would have thought it up. Against the move e4, we play the Owen's defense with b6, and usually against the move d4, we play bishop b7, attacking the pawn on e4. I've seen many grandmasters play this, including Magnus Carlsen. Magnus Carlsen has played against 2,700 plus FIDE-rated players and has had great success with the Owen's defense. The whole idea is that after a move like knight c3, we play e6, bishop b4, pinning that knight on c3, putting even more pressure on e4. An absolutely great chess system for black, escaping the opening theory. But with the Guatemala Defense, we play the crazy-looking move, bishop a6, looking to trade off with that bishop on f1. Why we want white's light-colored bishop so bad, I'm honestly not sure. Is the move bishop a6 a blunder? No. Is it a good move? I wouldn't say it is. It's a very strange move looking to trade off with that bishop on f1, and it's actually a pretty interesting choice, especially if you're playing bullet chess. Your opponent will probably pre-move with something like knight c3, looking to defend that pawn, in which case you can take that bishop on f1 and make it so that white has to take back with the king. However, in today's video, we're really going to be covering the two best moves with bishop takes a6 and c4. Let's first take a look at what happens if white takes the bishop on a6. Well, here we're going to take back with the knight, and then we're going to continue with moves such as e6 and knight e7. The move e6 really tries to keep a very solid pawn structure here, also defending the f5 and d5 squares, and this knight on e7 wants to come to g6 where it won't be easily kicked around. A very active knight there that white can't really mess with very easily. Against the move queen e2, attacking our knight on a6, we can always play queen c8 and then fianchetto our queen on b7. This is a key idea in the Guatemala Defense, defending that knight on a6 and putting some pressure in the center of the board. And obviously, if you plug this position into a computer system, it's going to tell you that white is better, and white is a little better here. I mean, our knight on a6 is very awkwardly placed. I can't even remember the last time I saw a fianchettoed queen attacking this pawn on e4, but it's surprisingly hard for white to really defeat the Guatemala Defense with ease. In this position, we really have no weaknesses, and if white just plays a natural developmental move like knight c3, we can now play knight g6, eyeing that f4 square, and on top of that, moving our minor piece to a place where white can't really easily kick it around. If a move like h4 is played looking to pounce with h5, gaining a huge space advantage on the king side of the board, we're going to play h5 ourselves, really locking these pawns up. And here, if white plays a move like d5, trying to break the game open, we're not going to take this pawn, because following e takes d5, white would have a battery ram on the e-file with the rook and the queen attacking our king on e8. Again, we have no weaknesses. We're in no rush. We're going to play bishop b4 in typical Owen's defense type fashion, pinning that knight to c3 to the rook on e1. And here, if white takes the pawn on e6, that's completely fine. We're going to take back with our d-pawn, following bishop d2, castle queenside, and I actually think that even though white has a slightly better game here, black has a pretty playable position, and this is a great way to escape the opening theory. We have a knight on g6, attacking that pawn on h4, making this knight on f3 a prisoner. We always have bishop takes c3, followed by knight f4 ideas in some variations. Our queen on b7 is attacking that centralized pawn. We have knight c5, followed by queen a6 ideas, looking to trade and or really take control of this long diagonal. King b8 is also a good move in many instances, just getting our king to a safer square. We have a solid rook on d8, and I think that black has a pretty playable game here. So that covers the move bishop takes a6, in which we're going to take back with the knight, continue with e6 and knight e7, really controlling the f5 and d5 squares, while also preparing a knight g6 move, followed by something like bishop e7 or bishop b4. And against a move like queen e2, and even if a move like queen e2 isn't played, we can always go with queen c8 and queen b7, fianchettoing our queen. I think that black has a pretty playable middle game position there. What happens if white plays c4, denying a bishop trade and simply advancing up the board? Well, here I actually recommend going with the Hippopotamus Defense. What on earth is the Hippo Defense? Well, basically, it's when we play b6 and g6, looking to fianchetto our bishops, putting pressure right in the center of the board, and then continuing with e6, d6, and putting our knights on d7 and e7. Now, there's really no specific move order to this. I think it's just trying to reach that final position where we create a very strong wall that's going to be hard for white to break through. Obviously, we have a small difference with our bishop on a6 opposed to being on b7 attacking e4, but here we can simply continue with a move like g6, fianchetto our bishop. Then we can continue with a move like d6 followed by e6, play knight e7, castle kingside, continue with knight d7. I know I just flew through all those moves, but again, with the Hippo defense, it's a very easy structure to play. We're going to play g6 and b6, looking to fianchetto our bishops, usually on g7 and b7. Here we do have a little bit of a difference. Instead of on b7, we have this bishop on a6 attacking c4. We do have our knights on e7 and d7 with our pawns on e6 and d6, and it's very hard for white to really come up with an easy advantage here. I mean, if a move like d5 trying to break the game open, we can just close it with e5 and next have the move f5 threatening to trap the bishop on e3. So following a move like bishop h6, not allowing us to trap that bishop with f4, we can now play the move bishop c8. In this variation, I actually think that it's better for this bishop to be on c8 because it eyes the square on e6. Why on earth would we ever care about the square on e6? Well, the move f5, I believe, is very good. We're attacking that e4 pawn, and we also have f4 ideas, really creating some space on the king side of the board. The downside is that our pawn on f5 can't protect that square on e6, so oftentimes white will play something like bishop takes g7, followed by knight g5, wanting to bring their knight into e6, attacking our king, rook, and queen all at once, and this would not be very good for black, but because our bishop is on c8, we can now play knight f6 with no fear of knight e6 check, because we would simply take that knight, take that centralized pawn, and here if a move like knight takes e4, we're going to play f takes e4. In the case of queen e3 attacking that e4 pawn, there is nothing to worry about. We can actually play rook f4, a very active move, followed by knight f5 and knight d4. Black has a clearly better game here. If you'd like to learn more on the theory behind the actual Owen's defense, click the video to the left. If you'd like to learn more about the Hippopotamus defense, a pretty fun and strong chess opening for black, click the video to the right. Leave a comment to let me know what other videos you'd like to see covered on this channel, and as always, I appreciate you guys. Thanks for watching. Peace.